Hello everyone and welcome to the round 2 version of Bev's Footy Tips. It's great to have your company. How good was round 1? It was the best opening round I have seen for some time. Let's hope round 2 is just the same. Cannot wait for the second round of the 2022 AFL season. So let's not muck around any further. Let's get straight into the show. Let's begin by taking a look at who won the Bev Show tipping comp in round 1. And I'm pleased to announce that the winner is Hamish Brosnan, aka Hamo. He correctly guessed, wait for it, 9 out of the 9 matches correct. Oh, whoa! You beauty, Hamo! You ripper-dipper superstar! Oh, well done, mate. Well done. That is an enormous effort. I don't reckon there were many people that tipped 9 of the 9 matches correct in the opening round. So congratulations to you, Hamo. You not only guessed every match correct, but you're also the winner of the Bev Show tipping comp for round 1. So there's the leaderboard on screen. Obviously, Hamo leads. Samuel is in second. Ryan third. Anthony fourth. And Jason rounds out the 5. Let's now take a look at how many tips I guessed correct in the opening round of the 2022 AFL season. I'll start with the opening game. I tipped my beloved Dogs to defeat the D's by 10 points. I tipped the Tigers to defeat the Blues. I tipped St Kilda to defeat Collingwood. So at this point, I wasn't off to a great start, getting the first 3 games of the season incorrect. Let's see if I can hit back, though. I tipped the Cats to defeat the Bombers. I tipped the Swans to defeat the Giants. I tipped Brisbane to defeat Port Adelaide. I tipped the Hawks to defeat North Melbourne. I tipped the Dockers to defeat the Crows. And in the final game, I tipped the Suns to defeat the Eagles. So, after getting the first 3 games wrong, I'm actually pretty happy that I ended up guessing 6 of the 9 matches correct. Obviously, I would have liked to do a little bit better, but given the circumstances at the start of the round, I will take 6 out of 9. Let's get into my round 2 tips now, and we'll start with the Thursday night game at Marvel Stadium, 7:20pm start. It's the Western Bulldogs taking on Carlton. This should be a pretty good game. Obviously, the Dogs lost to the D's by 26 points, but the Blues were outstanding, beating Richmond there last Thursday night at the MCG. I think they're the real deal, and I'm not taking Carlton lightly at all. In fact, these two teams played a pretty good game last season where Carlton dominated the majority of the game, but then the Dogs were able to run over the top of them late to score a 16-point win. Obviously, the Dockers, they're going to lose Chera, I think Martin due to COVID, and of course the coach, Michael Voss. But they do get back Sam Walsh, and it'll be interesting to see what changes the Dogs make, if any. Of course, I spoke about Aaron Norton needing support in the forward line in my post-match video last week on my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts. So it'll be interesting to see if a player like Jamara comes in and helps out Aaron Norton, or maybe even O'Brien gets a debut and plays up forward. I don't know. We'll have to see when team selection comes out. But obviously, I'm going to back in my beloved Western Bulldogs. I'm going to tip them by, I'm going to go 8 points. I think that's a fair margin. I think this game has the potential to be a close one, but I'm backing in my doggies to win. I've got faith in the club and the coach, and I think, I'm hoping anyway, that they will bounce back on Thursday night and record their first win of the season. Friday night at the SCG, this game should be a ripper as well. The Swans taking on the Cats, 7:50pm start time. I think it's fair to say these two teams were the best teams in round 1, I think. The Cats were outstanding, beating the Bombers, actually flogging them in all fairness. And the Swans, well, they were challenged by the Giants throughout the most of the match, but were able to get the job done over the concluding stages there and win pretty comfortably in the end. This game, of course, at the SCG, Buddy Franklin, he needs 4 goals to reach the 1,000 goals milestone. I'm actually going to tip the Cats in this one. I just think they have a good record at the SCG. They've won 3 of the last 4 games they've played at the SCG. And they arguably should have won when they were beaten by the Swans last year. Remember in that game, Cameron took a mark and it wasn't paid. It wasn't 15 according to the umpire. So they probably should have won that game. So yeah, on the basis of the Cats, firstly having an outstanding first game and also having a great record at the SCG, I'm going to tip them to beat the Swans, but this game should be a ripper and it could go either way. The first of the Saturday games at the MCG, 1:45pm start time. It's Collingwood taking on the Adelaide Crows. I really liked what I saw from Collingwood last Friday night. They took the game on a little bit more, showed a bit more of an attacking game style, which has of course been introduced by the new coach Craig McRae. I also liked what I saw from the Crows though. I mean, arguably Freo probably should have won by more given they were pretty inaccurate, but the Crows, they were outstanding in the second half especially. Of course, Richelli is a star in the making, or he might already be a star, I don't know, but he was fantastic on debut, and yeah, the Crows, they might be better this season than people think off the back of their 1 point loss to the Dockers. I have to tip Collingwood though, given the game is at the MCG. I have to tip the black and white to win this one. At 4:35 at Marvel Stadium, it's Essendon taking on the Brisbane Lions. Now, the Bombers were the most disappointing team of round 1. That is for sure. They were absolutely flogged by the Cats. They probably should have lost by more. They were flogged in all areas, around the stoppage, out of the centre. Their defence was pulled apart. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond against the Brisbane Lions team, who weren't outstanding against Port Adelaide last week, but they got the win, and that's the most important thing. And, of course, they can build on that. Look, I have to tip the Lions in this one. They should just be way too good for the Bombers, who, to be honest, I'm starting to question whether they are a top 8 team this season. Of course, I put them in my 8 in my predictions, but I'm starting to question whether I made the right decision or not. But anyway, the Lions to win. In the first of 2 Saturday night games, Port Adelaide taking on Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval, 7:40pm start time. I thought Port Adelaide were actually good against the Brisbane Lions. They did lose in the end, but they were... They had control of that game for some time, and you go back to last year, Port Adelaide got absolutely belted by Brisbane at the Gabba. So I guess the only disappointing thing about the loss, though, besides the loss itself, is the injuries that Port Adelaide copped. While Hawthorn, they were good in Sam Mitchell's debut game as coach, beating North Melbourne. Look, given this game is at the Adelaide Oval, I would expect Port Adelaide to be just a little bit too strong for the Hawkers. It might be closer than people think, given the injuries that Port Adelaide have, but I would have thought that Port Adelaide still have a strong enough team to beat Hawthorn. The other Saturday night game is the Suns taking on the reigning premiers Melbourne at Metricon Stadium, 8pm start time. Gold Coast, they got the win against the Eagles, and they were expected to, and they lived up to those expectations and got the win against an undermanned West Coast team over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. The first time they've beaten the Eagles over there in Perth. And of course, Melbourne, well, they just picked up where they left off, didn't they? Beating the Dogs. Not by the 74 points that they did in the grand final. It was a lot smaller margin of 26 points, but it was still a comfortable win in the end. Look, I do expect the Demons to go over there and be far too strong for the Suns. It's going to be interesting to see how many games the Suns win in their next 4 or 5 games, because they do have some tough opponents coming up. But yeah, the Demons should be too strong in this match. The first of 3 Sunday matches, North Melbourne taking on the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium, 1:10pm start time. Both teams lost in the opening round. North Melbourne lost to Hawthorn, and West Coast lost to the Gold Coast Suns, but I thought they were pretty good in that match. They were in the match for some time, and given the fact that they had a lot of their key players out, I thought it was a pretty decent performance. And now they get some key personnel back, the likes of Darling, Shuey, Duggan, maybe Yo coming back. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know he is in the mix, and if he's not coming back this week, then it's next week. So given West Coast are getting some players back, I think they should have enough quality to go over to Melbourne and beat last year's Wooden Spooners, North Melbourne. So I'm tipping the Eagles to win this one. In the 3:20 p.m. Sunday match at the MCG, it is Richmond taking on the Greater Western Sydney Giants. Both these teams lost in round one as well. Thought the Tigers were pretty disappointing against the Blues. They did control the match at various stages, but when it got to the busy end, Richmond folded and Carlton were way too strong. GWS, the Swans were just too good for them in the end. But I think out of the two, I thought GWS put together a better performance in a losing game than the Tigers. And I'm actually quite surprised that only 27% have tipped GWS. I think they can win this. I think the Greater Western Sydney Giants might just be the better team, and I'm tipping them to beat the Tigers in the mid-Sunday afternoon game. And the final game of the round is Fremantle taking on St Kilda. 6:20 p.m. start time at Optus Stadium. Of course, that's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Local time, that is 3:20. Yes, 3:20. I had to think about that for a second. But 3:20 p.m. local time there in Perth. Freo, they got the 1 point win against the Crows last week. Like I said before, probably arguably should have won by more. But that's the thing with the Dockers. They're not going to make the top 8 this season if they're going to continue to be inaccurate in games. So they've got to fix that up. But in saying that, I do expect them to be way too strong for the Saints at home. St Kilda were woeful against Collingwood last week. Let's not beat around the bush. They were very, very bad. And I do, like I said in my predictions a couple of weeks ago, I do question whether their list is good enough. And I do have the Dockers higher on my ladder predictions than St Kilda. So I do expect the Dockers to be way too strong for the Saints. So recapping my tips for round 2, I've tipped the Dogs by 8 points. I've tipped the Cats, Collingwood, Brisbane, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, West Coast, GWS. And I've tipped the Dockers in the final game of the round. So that brings to a close this episode of Bev's Footy Tips for round 2 of the 2022 AFL season. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below your tips for the round. I do enjoy reading all your comments, so comment down below and press that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. It does help the channel, no doubt about it. So please press that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy round 2, and until next time, bye for now. Go the Doggies!